Well, new at 10, a lawyer representing Incline Village is responding to the city of Duluth's claims that the developer hasn't met the terms of their agreement. The developer for Incline Village, Lucy Ostreicher, who heads a New York-based real estate company, broke ground on the $500 million housing project at the old Central High School site in December. But in a recent letter, city leaders claimed he wasn't holding up his end of the agreement, including submitting proof of funding for paying taxes or paying taxes. On June 2nd, the city gave the developer a 45-day window to make corrections. In a letter dated today, the developer pledged to comply with the city's ask and responded to their concerns. The lawyer says earlier information submitted about the developer's funding was accurate at the time, but there have been changes and new sources of funds since then. And since they did not say what exact changes happened or why, the developer's attorney said that it is true there also are unpaid taxes on the property due to what they claim to be an assessment and valuation error.